Hello everyone, this is post-recording Will, asking anyone watching this to please kind of stick around to the end of the video. I do have a question for the very small handful of you that actually watch these videos in terms of, in terms of just the videos themselves. You'll see when I get that far. But yes, if you would kindly, please stick around and give your feedback to the question at hand. Anyways, see you in a second. Hello everyone, it is the end of June, which is bizarre to say. The fact that we are over halfway through 2025 already blows my mind. But with that said, it's time to go over everything that I read this month. Which, there's a good bit here. And thankfully, only a couple of them are DNFs. In which case, I'm just going to get these out of the way. One of the DNFs is a book called Forsaken Commander, the first book of the Eternian Wars by J.G. Ogden. It's an indie book. I got about halfway through it, and I just wasn't feeling it. The other one, and this is probably going to be I'm probably going to stir some people up with this one. I had attempted to read the first book in the First Law trilogy, The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. That one was a DNF. I was listening to it through the audio. And I will say it is well written. The book itself is well written. The characters are well written. But I found myself halfway through the audiobook. And the question that popped up into my brain was, when am I supposed to start caring? Like, what is going on here? Why do I care about any of this? And when that happened, I took to Google and to Reddit and other places to look and see what people had said about the First Law universe. And I'm not the only person that has had this sort of feeling. And the consensus was, if you're feeling like this in book 1, which people were saying really should have been like a book 0, or a sort of backstory for the characters. But they were like, if you're feeling this way in book 1, yeah, First Law's not for you. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that as permission to DNF it. Which I know is going to be an unpopular stance, because people just love Joe Abercrombie. But anyway, on to the books I didn't DNF. First up, we have the first of The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill of Blood and Fire. I'll be real with y'all. So, I read the prequel novella, The Fall, sometime last year. I think it was late last year. And I was stoked, because I really liked that novella. And I'm like, yo, this sounds like something I'm gonna fucking enjoy. This book was a slog. I struggled to get through this. And, this is another one of those things I took to the internet, and I actually took to a Facebook group that I am part of that talks about, fantasy books, fantasy and science fiction and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, does this pick up? Does this get better? Like, I read The Fall and blah, 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 blah. And one commenter actually put things kind of in perspective. The Fall was written after he had already wrote the first 2 books. Which, in hindsight, makes sense. And by that point, he had already, like, Ryan Cahill had already found his sort of style and his voice. And that put things into perspective for me. Like, okay, I was essentially reading a person's third book, and then third or fourth book, and then jumping back to their first one. Which, even for an author I love dearly, Brandon Sanderson, you read Stormlight Archive, or even Mistborn first, and then go back to Elantris. Elantris is still good, but, like, yeah, he definitely got better. So, this one was indeed a slog. I did eventually start liking it more towards the back quarter. Back third. And I bought the second book on Audible when it was on sale. So I'm going to give the second book a shot through that to see whether or not I'm going to DNF the series. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I kind of hope I'm not going to, because I really like fantasy books. But who knows? We'll have to see what happens. Next up, we have The Exorcist Files by Father Carlos Martins. I'll keep this one short and sweet, because I don't want to go too heavily into my own religious beliefs. If you're already a fan of the podcast and picked up this book, there's not a whole lot new in here. There's some decent added material, but I feel like a lot of this had already been covered in the podcast. But, still an enjoyable read. I did enjoy it, and do recommend it for anyone who is mildly curious when it comes to, you know, spiritual warfare and demons and shit like that. Anyway. Next, and we're going to kind of go a little out of order. Although I should probably pay attention to this document a little bit, because it's got audio that I didn't list. Never mind, it's only one audio. In which case, the only other audio... No, there's a couple, I lied to you. One of the audiobooks that I did manage to finish, I made a mistake again in picking up a series and going, damn, this is actually pretty good. And in this case, I should have known better, because it's Will White. I love Cradle. That's actually another case of, you know, first books versus, you know, later books. Because I was kind of iffy on Traveler's Gate. Which I do have the second one of those. I might try to get to that next month. As along with the second book of Bound and Broken. I started up The Last Horizon. I read book 1, The Captain, through Audible. And fucking loved it. I've actually bought the rest of the series already. And I'll talk more about that later. Well, up through book 4. Because he hasn't written the other 2 yet. Then, up next, we have a book that took me a very long time to try and get a hold of. Because I love the game series that this came from. And that is Dead Space Martyr by B.K. Evanson? I'm going to say Evanson. This book was a pain in the ass to get a hold of. So much trolling on eBay for books that weren't stupidly priced. I realize I've paid stupid amounts for books before, but I didn't want to for this one. And then come to find out that, I guess, Tor Publishing decided to reprint this book and Catalyst, the other Dead Space novel, this year. Thanks, Tor. I'm not at all annoyed. Thanks. You guys could do good work. So anyway, Dead Space Martyr. It is a prequel to the Dead Space video games. It covers the origin story of the, what I'd argue is the main antagonist of the series, and that is the Church of Unitology. Yes, I know there's shit to do with, like, you know, Lovecraftian fucking flesh moons. We don't talk about Dead Space 3. It goes into the founding of the Church of Unitology, how it got started. The main protagonist is Michael Altman, who, if you play the games, you've heard the phrase Altman be praised. This is his story, the finding of the black marker, how all this shit got started. The one thing I did notice about this book, and I did kind of notice just in the Dead Space series overall, so at some point, I think it's somewhere around Dead Space 2, the writers of the games, it might have had a different team working on it from Dead Space 1 to Dead Space 2, they kind of retcon what goes on with the marker. And whereas, you know, in Dead Space 1, it's kind of like, yo, leave the fucking marker alone, put it back where you found it. The whole make us whole thing goes, it's referring to put the marker back on the planet, to put the flesh hive back to sleep, or the hive mind. What's flesh hive? Flesh hive's Magnus Archives. Put the hive mind back to sleep, that sort of deal. And then after Dead Space 1 and going into Dead Space 2, they kind of change it to where, oh, the marker's actually trying to get people to make the necromorphs, which will lead to convergence, make us whole. Actually now refers to giant Lovecraftian flesh moons, the Brethren moons. This book tried to do both. It tried to have both versions of what the marker does. Because you have people hallucinating dead loved ones. It's like, yo, put the fucking black marker back. Don't go near this thing. It's the doom of mankind. And then you have people that are like, no, the marker's telling us that it's our salvation and we need convergence and shit like that. So it's definitely kind of confusing. I don't know what the author was really going for trying to have it both ways. Because all it did was just really kind of make things confusing. But anyway. Alright. Then after that, we had the third and final print book of the Reckoners series, Book 3, Calamity. It was a fun, by Brandon Sanderson, obviously. It was a fun ride. Not much more to be said there. With that said, my other audiobook this month was Lux, the Texas Reckoners novel. Which, I really want that in print version one day. Please, Brandon. And also, I'd love a continuation, because you left us on a cliffhanger, Sanderson. I'm saying that, and there's Rhythmatist fans out there. But anyway, I want more Reckoners, please, Brandon. But with that said, I actually got to erase something on the board. Because that's where Reckoners was. Woo! Anyway. And then finally, the last actual novel for the month. We have The History of Middle-earth, The Book of Lost Tales, Part 1, by J.R.R. Tolkien, edited by Christopher Tolkien. I've pretty much run out of a lot of the fiction that Tolkien wrote, so I'm on to the non-fiction and the just galaxy brain level attempting to read these. It'll be interesting to get through. But it is actually interesting to see kind of how things change and progress as time went on and Tolkien kept writing and rewriting and stuff like that. It is actually interesting to see. Alright. If you watched last month, you knew it was coming. I've read the next chunk of Invincible, volumes 7 through 10. I won't get into a lot of it here. I am apparently close to getting caught up with the show, So there is that. But yeah, I'm still very much loving this comic series. It's awesome. And maybe next month I'll get around to the next batch. Maybe not. Next month is kind of stacked already. We'll see what happens. And then finally, we had 3 volumes come out relatively close to each other in the Energon universe. We have Volume 3 of the Transformers Run, Combiner Chaos. We have the 3rd volume in the Void Rivals series, The Key to Vector Theta. And we had the debut of the G.I. Joe series, The Cobra Strikes. If you watch my Energon Universe video, you already know that these quickly became something that I really, really enjoy. I am saddened each time I finish a book and there's not another one out, because it's just like, I want more. And I'm a loser and don't do the single issue, like, readings. I like my trade paperbacks, where I can just read a bunch of them all at once. It feels like proper books, even though I know they're comics. But some interesting developments happened in these books. I might save these, keep them out of my storage bins for now, and do like another breakdown of the chunk of books that came out this year, because there's going to be 3 more trade paperbacks to come out this year. Volume 4s of Void Rivals and Transformers, and a 2nd volume for G.I. Joe. So I'm very much looking forward to those. They are unfortunately in the last couple of months of the year, November and December. So unfortunately I have to wait, which saddens me, because I just love reading shit. These are fun, they're still edgy as hell, but they're fun, and I'm enjoying them. And you know what, as a Transformers fan, to actually have something that has Transformers in it, and it's actually good and enjoyable, it's not often we get these victories. We take them where we could get them. Alright, and that settles me for the month of June. Now, with that said, we move on to what I'm intending to read this July. So, July's not gonna have a whole heck of a lot. And there's some reasons for that. And that's because I've got one big release this year that I'm just immediately jumping on as soon as my PDF version of it comes out. If I get the physical, I will stop the PDF and move on to that one. But that's at the whims of Dragonsteel Shipping. The book in question is Isles of the Ember Dark, the next book in Brandon's Cosmere universe that was part of the Words of Radiance Kickstarter. I am very much looking forward to this. As soon as I'm able to download that PDF, I am downloading it and jumping right in. But the other books that I'm intending to read this month, they're kind of beefy. Especially this one, Display of Gods, Book 6 of the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio. It is a big boy. I don't actually know if it's this one or Demon in White that's longer. I'd have to double check on that one. But yeah, it's a chunker. I'm looking at about 700 pages, almost. Yeah, 679. It's a lot. So there's that. That is the second one I want to try to get through. This one I'm just going to be kind of reading casually over the course of the month, my sort of bathroom book, if you will. And that is the second volume in the Night Watch series, sub-series of Discworld, Men at Arms by Sir Terry Pratchett. I also want to attempt to get through, this is the last book I own currently of the High Republic. It's the second adult novel, The Rising Storm by Kevin Scott. I've been kind of enjoying the High Republic. Some things are better than others, that is for certain, and especially if they don't make continuity mistakes, like, you know, stopping your fall with a lightsaber, as was in the comic that I read. But I'm going to try and get through this one, and this will kind of be the deciding factor if I keep going with High Republic or not. So I do want to try to get through that one. And then, just because I got hooked immediately, the last one I want to try to read is the second book of The Last Horizon, The Engineer by Will White. So yeah, July is kind of fucking stacked. And there is one more release this July that I'm excited for, but it doesn't come out until the end of the month, so that's going to be a start of August book. And that is the next volume of Brian Freeman's Jason Bourne reboot, The Bourne Escape. That doesn't come out until July 29th. So yeah, not getting through that one in 2 days. I got through Vendetta in 3. I'm not going to try to push my luck and get through Escape in 2. So that's what I have planned for July. Now with that said, I got a question for the 5 of you that watch these. Because I've noticed it doesn't really do... these videos aren't really that popular on my channel. And again, I'm not out to make, super popular viral bullshit. That's not why I do this. I do this because I'm a fucking nerd. And I love talking about comics. And I love just, rambling on about fucking books that I like. But with that said, for the handful of you that watch these, are you fine with videos at the end of the month that I just kind of go over everything? Or do you think maybe I should, if there's standout books where I have a good bit I want to talk about, for example, Dead Space or Bound and Broken, ones where I have a good bit to say, would y'all prefer that I just talk about those books instead of just rambling off, fucking everything? I mean, we'd have to find a new place to, bring up the whiteboard. But it would make these a bit shorter. I mean, I'm on my second or third clip already. Just looking at the little timer there, which means this is probably somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes long. So, I don't know. I'm still experimenting. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do things. Talking about individual books might mean stuff goes up on the channel more. Maybe, maybe not. It just all depends. I don't know. I don't know. And I kind of just want to open the floor up to you guys. For the handful of you that actually watch these, do you want to keep doing these big, here's the fucking 30 books that I read this month? That's an exaggeration. And here's what I'm planning on reading next month? Or do you guys want, individual, type things? For next month, if I manage to get through Isles of the Emberdark, and I get my physical copy that I can actually hold and show off, What would y'all... Actually, that one's probably a bad example. I'm probably going to review that one anyway. But, like, say, fucking, I don't really have a good example here. Like, say for whatever reason, fucking the engineer it just has stuff in it that I'm like, I have to sit and make a video about this. Like, would y'all prefer that? Or do you want me to just kind of ramble off about shit in these long ones? I don't know. And I realize I've just been spending like almost 4 minutes just going off with, I don't know, what do you guys want? And that's why these are poorly edited. Just let me know down in the comments, what do you guys want? Because I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. So, anyway, that's the end of the video. Like I said, please, to the people that watch this, leave your thoughts down below. I could really use the help. Anyway, thanks guys. I'll see you at the end of the next month, and hopefully for the people that aren't here for books, I'll see y'all with videos in the future, in the near future. Y'all have a good one, and God bless.